individually. And the sound of drills now is a bit like living under the flight path. I don't even notice it now. It's as soon as daylight breaks, they start drilling, and they're doing it at weekends now. So if that sound of drilling is familiar to you, you're probably one of those people who's facing a bill. So what we were hoping was, and I was very pleased to see, and you might say, oh, it's selfish you talking about this, but there's a lot of people like me, and I'd like to hear from you if you're in the same boat as me. What do you think of what they voted through yesterday? Because the government is, the House of Lords keeps asking for amendments, bless them, saying you basically leaseholders and tenants as well, but there's people own flats, it's the tenants who have to pay, not the homeowner. I mean, it's just disgraceful, really. People can't sell their flats, they're just stuck there completely. There was a flat I saw in London that was half the price it should be. Half the price, a flat, but because the cladding has to be removed, no one was buying it. No one was buying it. Surely you'd make money on something like that, but anyway. So flats are going for much cheaper than they normally would be. So yesterday, the government pushed through, or Parliament pushed through, a new act, the Fire Safety Act, it's called, and it turns out that the fallout from Grenfell is casting a wide net around the country. I don't know how many people are going to be affected by this, but it's hundreds of thousands of people. These are new laws that could leave the owners of flats facing bills for fire safety measures. Grenfell Tower survivors organisations and bereaved relatives have called it indefensible. It's the Fire Safety Act. It's aimed at making homes safer following the 2017 blaze. 72 people died, of course, at Grenfell. But a push to include more financial protections for the leaseholders, not the freeholders, but the leaseholders, not the people who own the bricks and mortar, not the management companies, not the builders, but people like me who have a mortgage on a flat. We weren't consulted, but we've had this thing done, and we now have to pay for it. But there seem to be various loopholes. If you live in a block of flats, I think it's 5 stories or higher, then it'll be paid for you. But if you're lower than that, because that's the height that a fireman's ladder can go to or something, I think, fire officers, then
that there is no police presence at this specific area of very crowded, location. So the police was at the mountain, but not in the event itself because it's a religious celebration. We do get, there is already very harsh criticism about the police, about the way they let, people just, too many people to get in, actually. It's horrific to look at those photos.
It really is. It's absolutely awful. Thank you very much, Tal. I mentioned before, that's Tal Schneider, political correspondent in Jerusalem at the Times of Israel. And if you can remember those horrific scenes of Hillsborough, it brings back those sort of memories when you see some of the pictures here. Most of the pictures aren't actually as graphic as they could be, but sounds absolutely appalling. So we're talking about the cladding and the safety bill that was passed by MPs. There were a few Tory rebels, but it essentially says that you can take out a loan, 50 quid a month, to pay back the cladding removal fees, or all the safety precautions that will be installed into the block of flats. I'm wondering whether or not you've ended up having to fork out here. Scott says, I work in the insurance industry. The whole cladding and fire safety issues are a serious topic at the moment amongst us. Insurers will end up picking up a huge section of the total costs. Terry's in Edinburgh. He said, I don't know why any of the owners of these flats with the problem with the cladding have to pay for it themselves. You buy a flat, you should buy one that you can at least assume will be safe. You pay a survey to make sure everything's okay. I just don't understand it at all. It's a tricky argument, to be honest, and nobody wants to pay for obvious reasons. Let's cross to Belfast and speak to our Northern Ireland correspondent, Amanda Ferguson. Not talking about politics, but COVID restrictions easing. What's happening there? Amanda, good morning.
Good morning, Ian. Yes, unlicensed and licensed premises can open outdoors. There's been a bit of controversy around that because a lot of businesses who had measures in place last summer have now been told that they don't meet the regulations of having less than 50% of their outdoor space covered. So there's a lot of anger among some of the bars and restaurants that they don't quite meet the requirements to open today, but many places do. There's going to be a reopening of all retail, so I expect to see photographs of queues outside where the latest sales have been. Caravans and self-contained tourism accommodation can reopen. Gyms can open for individual training. Swimming pools can open. 15 people from 3 households can meet in a garden, and there's been a removal of the curfews on takeaways and off licenses.
Okay, what's been the reaction to the First Minister's decision that she announced she's stepping down yesterday?
Yes, it's a pretty sort of turmoil-filled time at the moment in Northern Ireland over our politics. The removal of Arlene Foster as DUP leader is likely to have very profound consequences. According to some commentators, there are concerns that her likely successor is the more hardline Edwin Poots, who is currently the Agriculture Minister in Northern Ireland. So the DUP is not particularly fond of open competitions and votes on such matters. So I imagine whoever is going to succeed her, and it's looking very likely that it's going to be Edwin Poots, that it'll probably be done in the background, and it'll be a coronation of sorts.
And the nightly protests have gone away now, have they?
Well, some of the protests continue largely peacefully so far. I think that's going to escalate over the summer. I think that we'll see more unnotified parades and demonstrations, and of course it's well within people's right to have peaceful protest. I think just the concern is as we approach maybe closer into the summer and the often contentious marching season, that there could be some difficulties around that. But really the future of Stormont appears to be at stake at the moment with the change of leadership within the DUP. There's a chance we could face into an early election here, and it is not a guarantee that whoever takes over, if it is inputs, that it's going to be easy to reform government after that.
Amanda, thank you as always. had your cladding removed, yes?
Yeah. I lived in a block that had removed the chocolate estate
Right. And
Camden,
in where?
near Camden.
Camden. All right. North London. Okay. And so, are you still living there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think, the situation, government asking people to pay those states, I think that's horrendous. That's horrible. First it took people to die for them to realise, oh, the cladding should be removed, and then they lied about the numbers, and then now they want people to pay for their mistake. That's stupid, sorry.
I know.
I think these criminals are just, these governments are criminals. Are they like criminals? The net should be going to arrest them instead of us. What's this?
How much is your bill going to be?
Well, luckily, I live in a block that's above 5 stories.
Okay.
But it's still for the people that have to pay. This is something that's utterly stupid.
Yeah, I don't really understand why they've made that distinction. If you live in a block of flats above fire, I'm told it's something to do with the height that fire engines can get to, but I don't really understand it, to be honest. You either do it for everyone or you don't do it for anyone. It seems ridiculous to do half and half.
They shouldn't be doing it in the first place because, for example, right, if you damage my car, why am I going to pay for my car damage? You should be paying for it. I'm not going to pay for it. You went into me.
You're
Expecting people to pay for their mistakes, and you know what? It's not the first time they do something like this. They're always going to make other people pay for their mistakes. There's the